Welcome back to the Realest Reviews. Today's review is focused on iCarly, episode 10, entitled I Take a Girl's Trip. And the official synopsis of I Take a Girl's Trip is Carly's first ever girl's trip doesn't go as planned when the only other person on the getaway is Freddie. Harper's missing cousin resurfaces and is instantly smitten with Spencer. I thought this episode, it was cool, but a little bit of cringe-worthy at the same time with a few scenes, but out of all, still a cool episode. Here is my episode recap and my episode review. So the episode begins with just Carly and the entire gang at Carly and Harper's apartment. They're all just chilling while Carly is just packing things up for her girls trip with Harper and another friend by the name of Brooke. And the whole gang continues to talk. Freddie, he's a little bit jealous because he has some experience with girls trip. And then Spencer pops in talking about how he's tired of just not finding the right person and how everybody else that he's been with is just something else. But then he has an inspiration of wanting to make birdhouses for people. So then, out of nowhere, Harper's cousin resurfaces after 4 years, and Harper and her cousin Maeve, they just hug each other in excitement. And it's been discovered that the reason why Harper's cousin has been missing for 4 years, it was because she was kidnapped and taken overseas, which is pretty dark if you think about it. So then meanwhile, because of Harper's cousin resurfacing, Harper is out. And Freddie, he becomes the alternate replacement as Brooke calls and says that she can't make it because her car has been stolen. So horrible, just horrible. So then Carly and Freddie, they make it to the resort, to the place that they're going to be staying at. And the place is not bad at all. Bed looks comfortable. They got a couch, fridge, drawers. They got everything that a nice room couldn't ask for. So then meanwhile, we get back to Harper and her cousin Maeve. They're just catching up on old time's sake. And then Spencer comes in, and Spencer and Maeve, for some reason, hit it off. Like, they hit it off, and for the remainder of the day, they decide to spend some time together to get to know each other better, which instantly does not sit well with Harper. So then meanwhile, back at the room, Carly and Freddie, they're continuing to have a good time. They've enjoyed the robes that they've been given, drinking, eating candy, just having a good old time. But then when Carly decides to test out the bed, she accidentally presses one of the buttons, to which she assumes it's just nothing special. But then it plays out a very horrible, cringeworthy song, which just gives Carly and Freddie just like weird feelings. But then they both decide just to try out the bed to see how comfortable it is until Carly's friend Brooke comes through, and she said that her car was not stolen. Matter of fact, it's just because she forgot where she parked it. So that just tells us that Brooke is just a idiot, to say the least. And Freddie and Brooke hit it off for the time being. And then it cuts back to Spencer and Maeve. They're having dinner now, continuing to talk, having a good time. They have different scenes where they're like the Titanic scene, and Spencer drawing a picture of Maeve. Harper comes in trying to spend time with Maeve by having Chinese food and having movies that she thinks that Maeve would like. So the night ends with just basically Spencer and Maeve continuing to hang out, getting to know each other more. Harper not feeling all that good about it, and Freddie and Brooke hitting it off as well. So the next day rolls around, and Harper is still not happy that her cousin and Spencer are hanging out. Meanwhile, Millicent comes in for a checkbook, and she is leaving to go with her friends and protest. And so we go back to the house, to the rooms that Carly and Freddie were in with Brooke. Just like yesterday, Freddie and Brooke are just chilling, hanging out, playing games together. And it seems as if that Freddie is trying to bust some cheeks. But it turns out that Freddie and Brooke was just playing some games while trying to get to know each other more. Carly goes on live trying to make it seem as if she's having a good time, but just fake. And then she calls Harper. They talk about what's going on with their trip, and they just talk about what's just going on and everything. And then Carly decides to take a stand for it, and she tells Freddie and Brooke about how she really feels, and the three end up on good terms. But it turns out that Brooke may be a freak, as she tries to have a threesome with her, Carly, and Freddie, to which Freddie is just like, "Hey, what's up with it?" And so Brooke leaves after she discovers they're not with it, and then the next day, Maeve decides to make it up for Harper. She wants to spend more time with Harper, as she's going to be with her for some time being ever since she's returned. The rest of the game comes as Carly returns, Freddie returns, Spencer comes, Melissa comes, and they all talk about what happened and everything. And it's discovered that Spencer and Maeve are going to be staying together at Spencer's place. And so the episode basically ends with just the entire group just talking, having a good time at breakfast, and that's all. I thought the episode was cool. It definitely did have a few cringeworthy scenes, especially at the hotel where Carly and Freddie were staying at when that one song played. Like, it was just extremely cheesy and just cringe at the same time. Some of the things that I enjoyed about this episode was new characters being introduced, like Harper's cousin Maeve, who disappeared for 4 years. I think that Maeve and Spencer might become a couple, and she might become just a recurring cast member, but maybe she's only going to be there for one episode, but only time will tell. Carly's friend Brooke is just an idiot but a freak at the same time, which is just, hey, there's nothing wrong with that. And so, yeah, I would say some of my favorite scenes of this episode would probably have to be with just maybe Spencer and Maeve just like hanging out, and them doing the famous Titanic scene from the movie Titanic. But also, until next time, goodbye.